Alright, so we've got algebra equations from your book on page 163. I'm going to do questions 13, 16, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23 and 24. Okay, so question 13. I'm going to assume that you've seen the first video or that you've had a look at it for revision and understand that equal signs should always be placed underneath each other, and that my system for doing them is you write down the stuff first that isn't moving and then you deal with the stuff that is going to move. Of course, when something moves across the equal sign, it changes sign. Use your calculator if you're not getting that correct and divide both sides by 6. That's number 13. Number 16. Again, equal signs underneath each other. Number 18. So in this instance, the plus 3b isn't going to move, and the plus 8 isn't going to move. So coming from the right hand side over to the left is the 5b, so it's going to be minus 5b, and that should be a b there obviously. And then moving from the left hand side over is the minus 8, so it will be a plus 8. Take note of this one now, guys. You divide both sides by the number in front of the letter, which is minus 2. Minus into a minus is a plus, 2 into 2 is 1, so in other words they cancel each other out. You're left with b equals. There's a plus here that we don't normally see, but I'm going to just fill it in there for you. A plus divided by a minus is a minus 8. It's 18. 19. So again, the usual equal signs underneath each other. Give yourselves plenty of space. Write down the stuff that is not moving. Then deal with the stuff that is. So the minus 6x becomes a plus 6x. The plus 10 on the right will become a minus 10. Now that minus there, they're not being multiplied, so that doesn't become a plus 48. That's a mistake some people will make. You're only adding, subtracting there. So it's minus 10, minus 38. You owe 10, you owe 38, you owe 48 altogether. Divide both sides by 8. Minus 6 again, remembering that there's a little plus there that we don't normally get to see. Alright. Question 20. In terms of dealing this question, you'll do all the usual stuff. What I will say to you is you need to be a little bit careful. There's a lot of negatives in there. There's a lot of minuses in there. And that's when people tend to start to make mistakes. So slow down a little bit when you're doing this question. Divide both sides by 3. You'll end up with minus 7. Did you ask for 22 is next? Okay, so alright, so the last two questions, 23 and 24. So 12x plus 4 equals 8x minus 12. Again, equal sign, 12x minus 12. So what's going to move? The 8x will move over, it becomes a minus 8x. The plus 4 moves, it becomes a minus 4. Again, watch out that minus minus, they're not being multiplied, so it doesn't become a plus. Your answer is minus 4. Question 24, the final one then. Now there's different ways to approach this, okay? Some people will see that these two can be added straight away and that the question can be simplified to this. Now some people won't feel confident enough to do that, and what they'll do is they'll bring all of the x's to the left and all of the numbers to the right, and that's still fine, okay? Because they will add then, they'll all add together when you're ready. Okay, now just before we finish, what I want to do, I'm going to take that question there, that question 24, and just show you a way that if you were in a test, and you obviously wouldn't have the luxury of the back of the book, so you couldn't check your answer, but you had a little bit of time left at the end and you wanted to see if you were right. Or sometimes you'll get an answer and it's a little bit, you'll just get a feeling about an answer that I'm not so sure, maybe I think, it might be working out nicely, but you just don't think it's quite right. When you've worked it out, we worked out there in the previous page, x is equal to minus 1. The way you can check that is you can sub it back into the original. So you can see that I have the original rewritten here. And what I'm going to do is, wherever I see x, I'm going to put in minus 1. And what should happen is, when I sub that minus 1 in across the entire equation and add it all up, so that's my next step, so minus 5, minus 2, minus 1, minus 10, that's a plus 2. You'll see that the left hand side balances with the right hand side, or in other words that it's equal to it. And if that happens when you sub back in the answer that you think is correct, well then you've confirmed that you are correct. And that will work for every single question that you do, assuming that that your answer is correct. Now what we'll do is, just while we're on it, let's take question 15 there. Did I do 15 with you? No, sorry. Let's take 16. Question 16, it was 3b minus 16 equals to minus 2b plus 14. Now the answer that we got for 16 was x equals 6. And that we'll assume is the correct answer. But let's just say, something happened as you were working down through your work and a little mistake got made and you ended up with 5 as an answer. In other words, x equals 5. And you wanted to check, am I right or am I wrong? Well, let's watch what happens when we put the wrong answer back into the original. Sorry, that should be a B and a B. Apologies. So, I'd be saying 3 times 5 minus 16 minus 2 times 5 plus 14. Does minus 1 equal to 14, or does minus 1 equal 4? No, they are not equal. The left hand side does not equal the right hand side, therefore that would tell me that answer was wrong. Okay, so that's it. And it's a check that you can do with all of your algebra equations. Okay, that's it.